With an estimated net worth of roughly $190 billion, Amazon founder and former CEO Jeff Bezos is the richest person in the world by a significant margin. However, Bezos hasn't earned all that money by being a nice guy. Here's the dark truth about Jeff Bezos. When people discuss Jeff Bezos, a recurring theme seems to be his insistence on holding all the strings he can reach. Bezos stepped down as Amazon CEO in July 2021, but his former employees and critics have had things to say about his tenure. In an interview with CBS News, Noel Tichy from the University of Michigan described Bezos as a, quote, control freak and Amazon as a one-man show. Business Insider tells the story of former Amazon engineer Steve Yeagy, who went even further by saying Jeff Bezos made ordinary control freaks look like stoned hippies. Bezos seemed to be fairly unapologetic about this and was known to tell his employees that they should pay him to work at Amazon. Yeagy did admit that Bezos' tendency to micromanage was overshadowed by the fact that he's extremely smart and often far ahead of his time. However, that didn't make things any easier for his employees. In 2002, the CEO suddenly demanded that all his engineering teams must rebuild their systems from the ground up to build Amazon into a platform where every system was compatible and that outside developers could easily access. He also promised to fire every single person who couldn't pull off this massive undertaking. To say Jeff Bezos was not the world's most softly spoken boss is like saying that the lemon is not the sweetest fruit. In his book, The Everything Store, author Brad Stone describes Bezos' tendency to go ballistic when an employee didn't meet his standards. The billionaire had an array of hyperbolic and harsh insults he spewed at the unfortunate targets of his ire with such anger that a blood vessel bulged on his head. Some of these attacks were more or less understandable, such as when someone tried to blatantly bluff their way through a situation or attempted to take credit for someone else's work. However, an Amazon employee could get chewed out for any number of reasons, including internal politics or simply not having all the right answers straight away. For a man who The Atlantic estimates would have to spend $28 million a day in 2018 just to avoid getting richer, Jeff Bezos appears to have a strange relationship with charity. BGR describes how he took to Twitter in 2017 to ask people what he should do to be a philanthropist. Then, in a 2018 interview with Matthias Dufner, he states that the only way he can see to use his wealth is to spend it on his space company, Blue Origin. Out of the 4 richest Americans, which includes Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg, AOL says Bezos is the most elusive about charity, despite being number 1. He's also the only one of the 4 who hasn't signed the Giving Pledge, the commitment many of the world's wealthiest people make to use the majority of their resources for good causes. In all fairness, Bezos has made some charitable donations over the years. In 2020, CBS News reports he launched the Bezos Earth Fund to help fight climate change with a $10 billion gift and gave $100 million to the Feeding America COVID-19 Response Fund. In 2018, he started the Day One Fund, which aims to devote $2 billion to address homelessness and education issues. However, Vox points out that the initiative is uncharacteristically vague and potentially ineffective for a Bezos effort. And Recode even wondered whether the world's richest person would be so generous if he wasn't under such intense scrutiny. Even if the Day One Fund is ultimately successful in whatever its mission is, it's still peanuts compared to the $41.3 billion that the significantly less wealthy Bill Gates gave in charitable donations between 2000 and 2016. Few people like paying taxes, but even fewer can compare to Jeff Bezos and how frankly he speaks about his hard work to dodge them. According to Fortune, Bezos famously decided to found Amazon in Washington State instead of the hot tech hub of California and was perfectly happy to admit that he did it to dodge California's sales taxes. At one point, Bezos even considered planting Amazon at a Native American reservation in California, where it would have been exempt from state sales tax. This was just the beginning of Amazon's natural aversion to taxpaying. For the next 20 years, the company carefully avoided sales taxes in the majority of other states, too. This gave it a price advantage over traditional book retailers and helped it to establish a strong foothold in e-commerce. As The Atlantic points out, Amazon's attitude towards taxes hasn't exactly changed through the years. As a massive economic player, it's able to parlay governments and states for billions and billions of tax deductions. In 2017, the company made $5.6 billion in pure profit, and in 2018, CNBC reported a profit of $11 billion. Yet Amazon paid no federal income taxes whatsoever. As a major shareholder, this policy directly benefited Bezos, who naturally commanded a fairly small salary, meaning nearly all of his income was subject to capital gains taxes, which maxed out at just 20% instead of the 37% top rate on regular income. In late 2017, Amazon announced that it wanted to pick a location for its new HQ2 headquarters and began graciously accepting offers from cities all over the USA. Many of the offers were ridiculously generous, basically a competition to see who could give away enough freebies to lure Amazon in. Maclean's reported that many jumped at the chance to get the corporate juggernaut in their backyard. Chicago offered to direct $1.32 billion of the income taxes paid by Amazon workers back to the company itself. Newark's bid included over $7 billion in assorted tax benefits. Maryland's package of incentives and tax exemptions totaled $8.5 billion, and they even named their program Promoting Extraordinary Innovation in Maryland's Economy just to shoehorn in the acronym PRIME. New York and Virginia won the bidding war, but according to In These Times, everyone involved actually lost, saying that neither location was likely to bring the promised 50,000 jobs and $5 billion in investment in the region. In fact, in 2019, Amazon halted their New York plans due to local opposition.
All we asked was that they be a good neighbor and be part of the community, and clearly they weren't ready to do that.
And while plans are still underway in Virginia, Amazon has estimated only around 25,000 new jobs over the next decade for the new headquarters. When Amazon was starting out, many small publishers welcomed this new way of distribution with open arms. Unfortunately, they didn't quite realize what they were signing up for. The Everything Store reveals that Jeff Bezos doesn't think too highly of the publishing business and views the industry as a helpless animal just waiting for a predator. When the smaller publishers started becoming more and more dependent on Amazon for sales, the company suddenly started playing hardball, demanding more favorable contract terms in ways that the Everything Store calls straight-up sadistic. This treatment was courtesy of the former CEO himself, as Bezos had ordered his employees to approach these small publishers the way a cheetah would pursue a sickly gazelle. As a result of this mandate, some Amazon executives took such sadistic pleasure in abusing publishers that the company's lawyers started feeling a little worried about the situation. Eventually, they stepped in and demanded that Amazon rename its publisher abusing business program from the Gazelle Project to the more corporate-friendly Small Publishers Negotiation Program. When your lawyers have to calm you down, you know you've maybe gone too far. To shape Amazon according to his vision, Jeff Bezos created the leadership principles. Among other things, these 14 rules required workers to obsess over customers, accomplish more with less, and make speedy decisions while maintaining, quote, relentlessly high standards. If that sounds unrealistic, many employees have agreed. The New York Times describes how workers toiled over projects without sleeping for 4 days in a row, paid freelancers in India to help them keep up with data entry, and spent vacations at Starbucks using the free Wi-Fi to get work done. This sort of ruthless corporate culture can lead to health issues, which the company has been less than sympathetic about. Amazon has reportedly cast aside workers who can't perform to the company's borderline impossible expectations, regardless of the reason behind their so-called incompetence. Even workers who have suffered cancer, miscarriages, or other life-altering personal crises can be evaluated unfairly or, quote, managed out. The company even gave an insanely hard time to the people who could actually cope with the pressure. Ex-employee Chris Bruscia tells a story about a particularly punishing performance review in 2012. His boss eviscerated him with a 30-minute lecture on all his faults and every goal he had failed to meet. Just when Bruscia was certain his Amazon career was at an end, his boss hugged him and informed him that he was, in fact, being promoted. Jeff Bezos was a mighty CEO and is a noted tech industry power player. But as MarketWatch describes, there's also a whole lot about him that's ripe for comparison with a comic book supervillain. Apart from having the same hairstyle as Lex Luthor, he has money to burn and the control of a globally influential media institution.
Well, these are sticky balls.
Yeah, obviously they work. Yeah, that's great. That's very impressive.
His penchant for developing a fleet for space exploration is another tick on the checklist, as is one of his stranger vanity projects, a 500-foot-tall, thermally powered 10,000-year clock that he's embedding in a mountain for reasons that remain his own. Bezos even has the melodramatic laugh to go with the classic villain image. As Inc. points out, the billionaire is known for his loud, honking laughter.
You generally hear him before you see him.
On January 9th, 2019, Jeff Bezos announced on Twitter that he and his wife of 25 years, Mackenzie Bezos, were divorcing. According to USA Today, an extramarital affair may have something to do with the divorce, as multiple tabloids claim Bezos had developed a relationship with former TV anchor Lauren Sanchez. Some even released private photos and messages in which Bezos was said to flaunt his strangely robotic sexting skills, allegedly writing, "I love you, a live girl. I will show you with my body, and my lips, and my eyes, very soon." Bezos' divorce announcement strongly indicated that the separation was amicable and the two exes will remain friends. In July 2019, a settlement was reached, with Mackenzie receiving $38 billion. Over the next 2 years, she donated billions to charities across a variety of sectors, in stark comparison to her ex-husband's record of charitable giving. In 2021, Mackenzie married science teacher Dan Jewett. In a statement, Jeff Bezos wished the newlyweds well, saying, "Dan is such a great guy." The warehouse is rarely the most luxurious place of employment in any company, but things are really bad when people are peeing in water bottles and comparing the work environment to prison. Life in an Amazon warehouse involves both of those things and many more. In 2016, author James Bloodworth went undercover in an Amazon warehouse to research for a book and soon discovered that the job was so hectic that he didn't have enough time to eat or drink properly. The atmosphere reminded him of prison, and the airport-style security checks and oppressive, point-based management added to the image. Some of the employees even peed in bottles and left them on the shelves because their performance targets were so high that they didn't have time to take a bathroom break. While Amazon denied many of Bloodworth's claims and has since stopped using the employment agency that hired him due to its questionable policies, other warehouse workers have repeated the writer's claims. According to multiple reports by Wired, Business Insider, The Guardian, The New York Times, and Newsweek, warehouse employees still urinate in bottles and even trash cans due to time constraints.
I found an empty Coca-Cola bottle with urine in it on the shelf.
The workers also say that many of the problems Bloodworth reported persist. The targets are too high, surveillance is constant, the pay is inadequate, and workplace injuries are depressingly common. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite public figures are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.